The greatest battles are not fought in boardrooms or stadiums. They are fought in the quiet chambers of the mind. You see, the mind is the factory where thoughts are produced, and those thoughts become blueprints for your future. If the blueprint is faulty, the building collapses. But if the design is strong, disciplined, focused, inspired, then your life becomes a masterpiece. What you feed your mind determines the strength of that blueprint. Some people fill their minds with doubt, excuses, and fear, then wonder why they're stuck. Others choose discipline, vision, and gratitude, and their lives start to change, sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly, but always surely. Now here's something to remember: you don't become what you want, you become what you think. Desire is cheap. Everyone wants something. But thought, that's where transformation begins. Every day, we have a choice to think thoughts that lift us or thoughts that limit us. And that choice, that's power. The mind is like a garden. If you plant weeds, don't expect roses. If you allow negative seeds, self-doubt, procrastination, envy, they'll take over. But if you plant discipline, perseverance, vision, well, that's a different harvest. You can't let just anything walk into your mind. Guard it like your most valuable asset, because it is. Someone insults you, don't let it grow roots. Life knocks you down, don't replay it like a broken record. Turn your thoughts toward what you want to become, not what you're trying to avoid. Now, someone might say, but my thoughts are automatic, I can't control them. That's not true. You may not choose the first thought, but you absolutely choose the second. And it's the second thought that builds your life. You want to change your results. Start by changing your thoughts. Don't just affirm success. Think in systems, in strategy, in service. Don't just visualize wealth. Cultivate responsibility, resilience, and value creation. Because when your thinking changes, your habits follow. And when your habits change, your future shifts. A weak mind looks for escape. A strong mind looks for elevation. Let me tell you something simple, but life, changing your mind, will believe whatever you tell it. So feed it with hope. Strengthen it with truth. Stretch it with learning. Train it with discipline. And remind it often that you are not your past. You are your potential. Every champion you admire started with a thought. Every business, every invention, every breakthrough, it began in the theater of the mind. So if you want to become more, think better. If you want to rise higher, feed your mind higher thoughts. You can't become excellent on a diet of junk thoughts. You can't live a powerful life with a weak mindset. The mind is everything, not because it's perfect, but because it's programmable. And when you choose to program it with clarity, courage, and consistency, you start to become the person you were meant to be. Think wisely, because what you think you become. Thoughts are seeds, simple but powerful. Whatever you allow to grow in the soil of your mind will eventually show up in the harvest of your life. That's not just philosophy, it's cause and effect. You can't plant corn and expect tomatoes. You can't sow laziness and expect prosperity. The law doesn't lie, it doesn't bend, it doesn't apologize, it simply delivers. Every thought is a seed with potential. It might look small, it might feel harmless, but once it's planted and nurtured, it starts to grow, slowly at first, then faster, and eventually it becomes something you can't ignore. That's the way life works. That's the way your future is built. Not all at once, but one thought at a time. Now the question is, what kind of seeds are you planting? Because the soil doesn't care. The soil doesn't reject the bad seeds and only accept the good ones. No, it just receives. Whether you plant weeds or wheat, the soil says, yes, sir. It's the same with your mind. Whether you feed it discouragement or determination, it will take it in and start producing accordingly. You see, your mind is always working. Always planting, always producing. The only real question is, what are you feeding it? A person who constantly thinks, I'm not good enough, is planting seeds of limitation. Those seeds will grow into habits of hesitation. Habits of hesitation produce a lifestyle of missed opportunities. And before long, that person will look around and wonder why they're stuck. But it all started with the seed. On the other hand, someone who chooses thoughts like, I'm learning, I'm improving, I'm getting stronger, is planting seeds of progress. And those seeds produce courage. They blossom into effort. And effort eventually turns into achievement. Again, it all starts with the seed. That's why it's dangerous to let the wrong thoughts stay too long. One negative thought, if left unchecked, can multiply. Just like one dandelion in a field, leave it alone and soon you'll have hundreds. But catch it early, pull it out by the root, then you've saved your field. Same with your mind. Don't let the wrong thought stay long enough to take root. You must become a skillful farmer of your own mind. That means checking in daily. That means asking yourself, what am I feeding my thoughts today? What kind of mental seeds did I allow in through conversation, through the media, through my inner dialogue? Did I plant fear or faith? doubt or discipline, complaining or commitment. Because thoughts don't just stay thoughts. They become moods. They become words. They become behavior. Eventually, they become identity. You don't wake up with a negative mindset one day out of nowhere. It's the result of too many negative seeds being watered over time. And yes, the world is throwing seeds at you constantly. Turn on the news, seeds. Scroll through social media, seeds. Talk to certain people, more seeds. Some seeds are toxic. Some are gold. Your job is to decide what gets planted and what gets rejected. Now here's the good news. You don't need perfect soil to grow something great. You just need the right seed and the discipline to keep planting it. You can start right where you are. You can begin today. One good thought. One decision to replace a complaint with gratitude. One choice to trade fear for action. And just like that, a new seed is planted. Don't underestimate the power of that one decision. The oak tree doesn't look like much when it's just an acorn. But inside it, there's something mighty. Same with your thoughts. What starts small when nurtured daily becomes strong, eventually unshackable. So choose your thoughts like a wise farmer chooses his crop. Don't scatter them randomly. Don't leave them to chance. Be intentional. Plant what you want to harvest. Plant what aligns with the life you want to build. If you want peace, plant peace. If you want success, plant work ethic, vision, discipline. If you want strong relationships, plant respect, listening, patience. If you want to grow, plant learning, curiosity, humility. Because thoughts are seeds, and in the end, your life becomes your garden. What grows tomorrow depends on what you plant today. Be wise with your planting. The harvest is always watching. Guard your mind. It may be one of the simplest instructions, but it holds some of the greatest power. Why? Because everything you allow into your mind begins to shape who you are, how you live, and what you become. If you don't guard your mind, you're handing the keys of your life to anyone and anything that wants to walk in. The mind is like a house. Leave the doors and windows wide open, and anything can come in. Dust, noise, intruders. It works the same way mentally. If you're not on guard, every opinion, every fear, every distraction, every criticism, every bit of gossip will settle in, and before long, you'll be cleaning up a mess you didn't create but allowed. What you allow and begins to live in you. A casual comment can turn into a limiting belief. A single insult can echo for years if left unchecked. A few hours around the wrong influence can leave seeds of doubt that take root and grow into hesitation. That's why guarding your mind isn't a suggestion. It's a requirement for anyone serious about growth. You have to be selective. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every voice deserves your agreement. Just because someone says it with confidence doesn't mean it's truth. Just because it's trending doesn't mean it's useful. And just because the crowd believes it doesn't mean it's wise. Guarding your mind means developing the ability to filter what serves you and discard what doesn't. Guarding your mind also means protecting it from yourself. That might sound strange, but it's true. Sometimes the most damaging voice isn't from the outside. It's the one inside, the inner critic. The doubt that whispers, "You're not ready." The voice that says, "You always mess this up." You've got to catch those thoughts, challenge them, and reframe them. Left alone, they will run wild and build walls around your potential. You wouldn't invite someone into your home who constantly insults you, discourages you, or breaks things. But how often do we allow those exact behaviors inside our minds? Guarding your mind means saying, no more. No more renting space to negativity. No more welcoming thoughts that tear you down. No more mental clutter that steals your energy and focus. The best way to guard your mind is to fill it with the right things. When your mind is focused, it's fortified. Fill it with good books, with meaningful conversations, with purpose-driven goals. Surround yourself with people who speak life into you. Build habits that feed your clarity, not your confusion. You can't control everything that happens around you, but you can control what you meditate on. That's where your power is. Life will throw noise at you, distractions, delays, drama. But if you've trained your mind to filter and focus, you'll stay grounded while others get swept away. Protect your morning. How you begin your day often determines the tone for the rest of it. Instead of starting with chaos, start with clarity. Don't open the floodgates of social media and news the moment you wake up. That's like leaving your front door wide open and inviting strangers in before you've even brushed your teeth. Guard your conversations. Some people don't deserve a front row seat to your life. Learn to recognize who drains you and who builds you. Don't let toxic voices rent space in your mental real estate. Raise the standard. Guarding your mind means guarding your circle. Also, be cautious with what you repeatedly hear. Repetition turns ideas into beliefs. If you constantly hear that life is hopeless, that people can't be trusted, that success is for others, not you. You might start to believe it. And once belief sets in, behavior follows. So be the gatekeeper. Stand at the door of your mind with alertness. Question every thought. Ask, is this helpful? Is this true? Does this move me closer to who I want to become? If the answer is no, don't let it in. It's really that simple. Your future is built with your focus. And your focus is determined by what you allow into your mind. If you guard your mind, you guard your life. If you're careless with your thoughts, don't be surprised if your direction starts to drift. So remember, just as a wise person locks their home at night, a wise person also locks their mind from whatever doesn't serve their growth. The greatest strength is often quiet. It's not loud, it's not flashy. It's the daily discipline of protecting what matters. And your mind, that matters most. You don't just become what you believe. You become what you rehearse. Over and over again, day by day, moment by moment, you're rehearsing something, whether you know it or not. And that repetition, it's creating the script of your life. Life is a performance, but the stage is only a reflection of what's been practiced behind the scenes. The thoughts you dwell on, the emotions you replay, the actions you repeat, those are your rehearsals. They shape your identity, your habits, your results. You're not building your future in some distant moment of breakthrough. You're building it in the quiet routines of your mind and behavior. Take someone who constantly rehearses defeat. I'm not good enough. I always mess this up. I never get a break. That person isn't just expressing emotion. They're practicing failure. They're rehearsing how to quit. And the more they rehearse it, the more natural it becomes. Soon enough, they don't even have to try to fail. It just becomes who they are. On the other hand, someone who says, I may not know it yet, but I can learn. I've made mistakes, but I'm getting better. I'm not there, but I'm on the way. They're rehearsing success. They're developing the posture, the mindset, and the tone of a person who's rising. It doesn't mean they won't fall, but when they do, they've rehearsed how to get back up. Repetition builds confidence. Confidence builds consistency. Consistency builds character, and character builds destiny. That's the chain reaction. It starts with rehearsal, not just practicing when the pressure is on, but training your thinking when no one's watching. If you want a different life, you don't need a different dream. You need a different rehearsal. Look at any area of your life, your health, your finances, your relationships, your mindset. What are you rehearsing daily in that area? Are you practicing discipline, or are you practicing excuses? Are you rehearsing gratitude, or are you rehearsing complaints? Are you reinforcing your strengths or constantly repeating your weaknesses? The truth is, you're always becoming something. The question is, are you becoming that on purpose or by accident? It's easy to think, I'll change when the opportunity shows up. But by then, it's too late to prepare. The best time to rehearse is before the curtain rises, before the decision is critical, before the challenge shows up at your door. Because when the moment comes, you won't rise to the occasion. You'll fall to the level of your training. Athletes know this. Musicians know this. Leaders know this. Success is not a performance. It's a preparation. That preparation is the rehearsal. It's in the early mornings when no one sees. It's in the choices you make when you're tired. It's in the way you talk to yourself when no one else is around. That's where the real rehearsal happens. Want to become more patient? Practice patience when it's hard. Want to become more disciplined? Rehearse saying no to the little temptations. Want to be a better communicator? Practice speaking clearly and listening fully, even in casual conversations. These small rehearsals build into big results. Some people rehearse worry. They wake up thinking about everything that could go wrong. They carry fear like it's a backpack they can't take off. Others rehearse gratitude. They look for what's right, even when it's hard to see. Over time, these people start to look and sound different, not because they had more opportunity, but because they trained for it. Every habit you have today, good or bad, was built through rehearsal. You didn't stumble into it. You practiced it repeatedly. So if you want to break a pattern, don't just remove it, replace it, practice something better. If you want to shift your identity, shift your rehearsals. You're the result of your repetitions. What you repeat, you reinforce. What you reinforce becomes your reality. That's not motivation, that's mechanics. So take inventory. Watch yourself closely. Listen to the words you use. Track the thoughts you entertain. Pay attention to how you show up in the small moments. Because all of that is rehearsal. And rehearsal leads to results. You don't become great by accident. You don't become wise by wishing. You become what you train, what you prepare, what you practice. You become what you rehearse. Make sure it's worth becoming. Discipline your thinking. It sounds simple, but it's one of the most important skills you'll ever develop, because your life doesn't just move in the direction of your habits, it moves in the direction of your thoughts. And if your thinking is scattered, negative, or undisciplined, your results will reflect it. The human mind is powerful, but it's also easily distracted. Left on its own, it wanders into fear, into comparison, into regret, into procrastination. That's why disciplined thinking matters. It brings your mind back. It sets boundaries. It says, this is where we're going, and shuts down every detour that tries to take you elsewhere. You don't have to think every thought that shows up. Just because a thought enters your mind doesn't mean it deserves your attention. That's the mistake most people make. They treat every thought as if it's true, as if it's permanent, as if it's theirs. But a disciplined mind doesn't chase every impulse. It filters. It selects. It decides what stays and what goes. And here's the truth: your thoughts shape your feelings, and your feelings drive your actions. If your thinking is weak, your emotions will be unstable. And if your emotions are unstable, your decisions will be reactive instead of purposeful. That's how people lose direction, not because they don't have goals, but because their mind is undisciplined. Now, discipline doesn't mean perfection. It means intentionality. It means catching yourself when your thoughts drift toward doubt and bringing them back to belief. It means recognizing when you're mentally replaying your failures and choosing to focus on what you've learned instead. It means shutting the door on distractions and opening the window to possibilities. Mental discipline is like physical training. You don't get stronger overnight. You build it through repetition. You practice focus. You practice gratitude. You practice solution-oriented thinking. You practice holding your mind steady in the middle of chaos. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. But here's the catch: discipline takes work. It's not as comfortable as giving in to negative thinking. It's not as easy as blaming circumstances. It requires effort to challenge your own mindset, to silence the noise, to correct the story you've been telling yourself. But effort always pays off. Every time you discipline your mind, you gain a little more control over your direction. Start with simple practices. When you catch yourself thinking, I can't, follow it with, what if I could? When your mind says, this is too hard, ask, what can I do with what I have? When you start drifting into worry, redirect into action. A disciplined thinker doesn't ignore challenges. They face them with clarity and courage. Be careful what you allow to take up space in your head. Some thoughts don't belong there. You've got goals to reach, people to serve, a future to build. You can't afford to entertain every fear, every doubt, every limiting belief. They cost too much. They waste time, steal energy, and blur vision. Protect your mornings. Begin your day with intentional thoughts, not accidental ones. Start with purpose, with gratitude, with vision. Train your mind first thing, and the rest of the day follows your lead. Don't let the world set your mental tone. Set it yourself. And remember, discipline in thinking leads to discipline in living. When your mind is clear, your choices are better. When your thoughts are strong, your actions are steady. When you master your thinking, you elevate your life. You've got enough challenges in the world. Don't let your own thoughts be one of them. Make your mind your ally, not your enemy. That's a choice. That's a practice. And that's where real change begins. So take command. Pay attention to your inner dialogue. Watch the tone you use with yourself. Speak truth. Speak strength. Speak progress. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be intentional. Discipline your thinking, and your future won't be left to chance. It'll be guided, directed, and built one thought at a time. Thoughts drive habits. That's where it all begins. Before you form a routine, before you make a decision, before you take an action, there's a thought, a small, often quiet idea that shows up in your mind. And whether you feed it or ignore it will determine the direction of your life. Most people try to change their habits by working on the surface. Adjust the schedule, create a checklist, maybe add some motivation. But the root of the habit isn't on the surface. The root lives in the mind. What you think determines what you consistently do. So if you want lasting change in your behavior, you've got to go back to the source, your thinking. Your habits don't just show who you are. They show how you think. A person who thinks thoughts of discipline builds habits of structure. A person who constantly thinks thoughts of defeat builds habits of avoidance. A person who thinks they can improve forms habits of learning. It all starts with the mental script running in the background. Now, the powerful part is this: thoughts can be chosen. You're not a victim of your thinking, you're the director. And when you start choosing the right thoughts, thoughts of responsibility, thoughts of purpose, thoughts of progress, you start forming habits that match. Productive habits, healthy habits, Successful habits. Let's say someone keeps procrastinating. They think it's a time issue. It's not. It's a thought issue. Somewhere in their mind, there's a belief. This can wait. I don't feel ready. It's too hard. Those thoughts become patterns, and those patterns become habits. Until they change the thought, the habit sticks around. Or take someone who's always late. It's not just a behavior. It's a mindset. I've got time. It won't matter. They'll understand. The thinking behind the habit is casual, so the habit stays casual. And casual habits produce careless results. But when you shift the thought, the habit begins to shift. Replace "this can wait" with "what I delay gets heavier." Replace "they'll understand" with "I respect other people's time." Replace "it's too hard" with "hard means growth is happening." Those new thoughts will start to form new behaviors. And over time, those behaviors solidify into habits. Habits aren't built in a day. They're built by what you repeatedly think and do. It's not just about repetition. It's about the mindset behind the repetition. That's why people can try and try again to build new habits and still fall back into old patterns because they never addressed the thought that created the habit in the first place. You can't expect to act with excellence while thinking thoughts of mediocrity. You can't live a disciplined life while feeding your mind excuses. And you can't achieve greatness while rehearsing thoughts of doubt. The habits you build are simply your thoughts in motion. And here's the thing, your brain loves habits. Once it notices a thought, behavior pattern, it turns it into a routine to save energy. That's good news if the habit is helpful. That's dangerous if the habit is destructive. Because once it becomes automatic, you don't think about it anymore. It becomes who you are. And what becomes automatic controls your future. So you've got to catch it early. Ask yourself often, what thought is driving this habit? What belief is shaping this routine? What am I telling myself before I act? Because if the thought is wrong, the habit will be wrong. But if the thought is right, the habit becomes a force for good. Want better habits? Start with better thinking. Begin your day with intention. Feed your mind strong ideas. Speak truth to yourself. Don't wait for the motivation to show up. Build the mindset that creates it. Because when your thinking changes, your habits follow. When your habits change, your lifestyle follows. And when your lifestyle changes, your future is redefined. The smallest change in thinking can unlock a whole new level of living. One thought, one belief, one mental shift. That's how powerful it is. You want to break a cycle, change the thought that started it. You want to create momentum. Start with a thought worth building on. Thoughts are the first step to becoming the person you were designed to be. They are the trigger, the blueprint, the foundation. Get your thinking right and your habits will take care of the rest. Thoughts drive habits, and habits shape your destiny. Your mind believes you. That's one of the most powerful truths you'll ever come to understand. Whatever you tell it, whatever you repeat, whatever you allow to linger in your thoughts, your mind takes it in and accepts it as truth. Not because it's real, not because it's accurate, but simply because you said it. The mind doesn't argue. It doesn't debate. It doesn't ask for evidence. If you say, "I'm not good enough," your mind responds, "Got it. We'll act like that." Say, I always fail," and your mind says, "Understood. Let's prepare to fail again." But if you say, "I can learn this," your mind says, "Then let's find a way." Speak, "I'm getting stronger," and your mind shifts gears toward growth. You see, your mind listens to your voice more than any other. What you say about yourself matters far more than what others say about you. And most people lose the battle not because of what life throws at them, but because of the message they keep sending to their own mind. Self-talk is the steering wheel of your life. Negative self-talk leads to hesitation, doubt, and missed opportunities. Positive self-talk creates focus, resilience, and the ability to move forward. You don't need perfect conditions to succeed. You need a mind that believes it's possible. That's the difference. Some people have all the talent, all the resources, but their inner dialogue keeps them stuck. They tell themselves stories of failure and then live them out. Others start with little but speak words of strength and belief, and those words fuel their rise. It's not magic, it's mindset, it's repetition. It's what you keep telling yourself when nobody else is around. Your mind doesn't care if what you say is kind or cruel, true or false, empowering or damaging. It simply absorbs what it hears most often. That's why discipline in thought and speech is so critical. You can't afford to joke around with your self-worth. You can't afford to casually say, "I'm stupid," or "I'll never get it right," or "nothing ever works out for me." Those phrases may seem small in the moment, but they plant seeds, and those seeds grow. The mind operates like a thermostat. You set it, and it adjusts everything to match that setting. Set it low, and even when life brings heat, your mind will cool everything back down to match your internal setting. Set it high, and even in the coldest seasons, you'll find a way to stay warm. That setting is built through what you repeatedly say and believe about yourself. Think of it this way: your mind is always recording. Every word you speak into it becomes a track it plays back. The more you repeat it, the louder it gets. So if you've been playing the same old track for years, tracks of insecurity, fear, failure, you've got to change the record. Replace it. Speak better words. Speak words that build instead of break, encourage instead of embarrass, strengthen instead of shrink. And yes, it may feel strange at first. Speaking belief when you don't feel it takes courage, but that's how change begins. You don't wait until you feel it. You speak it until you start to feel it. Then, over time, your actions catch up with your words. Your life begins to align with your mindset. The best part, you don't need to convince the world. Just your own mind, get that right, and everything else begins to shift. Your posture changes. Your decisions improve. Your energy rises. Why? Because your mind believes you. So be careful with your words. Be intentional with your thoughts. Don't rehearse failure, rehearse progress. Don't echo past mistakes, declare future growth. Say things like, I'm growing, I'm adapting, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. Your mind will hear it, it will believe it, and then it will start to live it out. Success doesn't begin with a result, it begins with a belief, and belief is born from repetition. Feed your mind the right words, make your self-talk a tool, not a trap, because your mind is listening, and more importantly, your mind believes you.